I'll rip and screaming from your soul. We'll watch it fall. Now you come to walk on. Come and set your light through. Just set your light through before we're only whispers in the wind. You can turn my world upside down, a rush like I've not felt before. I can trust myself. I need you to make it turn. I know. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't write our romance. We'll never be the same again. I could keep the light from turning into darkness. You'd be my escape. What have we been told? Easy to unfold. Future might seem out of reach, but we're getting close. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't write our romance. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. We are brought to you by Animal We Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Welcome and salutations. Happy weekend to all of you lovely nerds out there. Hopefully, you guys have had a good weekend so far. I know my weekend has been pretty good. Good start for everything. And yeah, we're here with a cold open, no stampede tonight because we had Saturday night's main event. We are not wasting any time with it. Not saying stampede's a waste of time or anything, but we're just going to get right into the action, right into the discussion because we have a lot to kind of talk about, a lot to dissect and all that. But if you're new here at all and don't know who we are, well, of course, we are the Weebs of the Ring. I am your world champion walk-ins here to help kind of guide you through all the wrestling stuffs, whether it's holds, submissions, final bosses trying to come in and ruin our times, whatever have you. I'll help guide you through all those and kind of hold your hand as we help each other process everything. But to help us truly process everything, we have the genius of the mat himself here drop this box. So drop, just going to ask you real quick, how's your Saturday been today?
Saturday's been pretty good. I was able to sleep in for a little bit. These past 3 days we've been busting our asses when it comes to the shows, and it's gonna be another thing too because we got grappling the week next Thursday. We got that for last Friday before
Mm-hmm.
Royal Rumble, and then we had the Rumble to talk about in itself, which is gonna be quite the discussion. Depending on what I feel like that's gonna be an interesting show, regardless, based on what decisions are
Yeah.
made for that Rumble and just everything to come out of it because I mean we're officially in like WrestleMania season soon. So I mean that's just pretty
Yeah.
crazy to think about. This is actually the first time I believe that we're starting off a year heading into this too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think last year we didn't cover the Rumble. I don't think I'd have to go back because again my memory is kind of crap, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd have to go back to make sure that we did or did not cover the Rumble because I don't think we did.
Yeah.
And yeah, so heading into Rumble week, we're gonna have our second episode of Grappling with the Week. It's gonna be a Royal Rumble special, so stay tuned for that. And again, we got Friday night SmackDown going forward. We got the Royal Rumble, all that stuff. Uh, be on the lookout for all the content we're having going into the Royal Rumble. And of course, if you don't want to miss any of that, we have all of our links down in the description below. So check those out and see what we're all about during this very busy time of the year. Because yeah, we've got a lot of wrestling to go through, a lot of wrestling to talk about, and we had a great NBC special tonight known as Saturday night's main event. This was the second one that they put on in just the past couple months and all that. So I know you had said earlier this was a lot better of a production from the TV standpoint, from sitting at home watching on TV. Because if you guys remember the last one, me and Vash actually attended physically there, so we were in person at that first one. So yeah, I kind of want to pivot to you really quick, drop about just the production of tonight and just how different it was compared to the first one we had in December.
Yeah, so like my reasoning behind that is I felt like this show was like better paced because I felt like since it was the big show, they were really trying
Hmm.
to hammer everything down for that, which is understandable because it hasn't been a thing for quite some time. So bringing it back, obviously, that's a pretty big moment for WWE in itself. But it just felt like my experience compared to that one was a lot better because when it comes to the matches, for example, I felt like we were actually getting some time put into the matches, so we weren't going to
Hmm.
commercial after commercial because that's kind of how it was when I was watching the first Saturday night's main event. Because whenever you were getting into like a big moment or somebody was in there within 2 minutes, like pretty much like that old recipe that we had at Raw when it was on
Hmm.
USA all those years, it's pretty much like the whole feeling of it was compared to when you and Vash were there, where it was like, all right, big moves getting done by Sammy or Drew during that match they had, and then commercial. It's like right when they're about to hit like a big point in the match, commercials thrown in there right away. But it seems like it was properly paced, and we were
Hmm.
going through a good majority of the show around even before 9 o'clock hit. So I was really happy at how things were structured when it came to like the whole formula that they had tonight for the show. So like definitely
Hmm.
enjoyed it a lot more just based on of that. Just basically presentation alone is what really entertained me tonight.
Okay, yeah. And there was one match in particular that, we'll get into here later on in a bit, but like there was one match in particular where I personally had an issue with their pacing with it, just with the commercial breaks and all that. But we'll get into that when we cross it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just kind of dive right in now. We're gonna talk about the match card, what happened with each match,
Yeah.
where things are gonna be going. Which, I mean, not really much to really go off of with some of these stories going into it because a lot of these were just for Saturday night's main event and kind of setting up for the Royal Rumble next week. So
Mm.
let's go ahead. Let's dive in. We've got our women's world title match. Rhea Ripley taking on Nia Jax. Now, this match was all about power moves from suplexes to Samoan drops to headbutts and all that. Like, Rhea and Nia, they do have good chemistry. Like, and especially with Nia. Like,
Yeah.
Nia has been really good in her return run. And, I mean, for her to, be able to sell a code red the way she was able to, really good stuff from her. And of course, Rhea just showing her power. Like the fact she was able, I thought she was gonna try to hold Nia a little longer in that electric chair drop she had her in.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish she was able to, but it was still impressive nonetheless. Because like as soon as she hit that, she hit the riptide, and it was basically donezo right there. But yeah, this match was really good.
Oh yeah.
At least for what it was and all that.
Oh yeah, I agree because when we saw their match last year at the Elimination Chamber, they put on a pretty good match there. So I was
Hmm.
expecting to see another good match here between the both of them. And like you said, with Nia Jax, she's been doing pretty good when it came to her second go around compared to her first one, where she's actually been putting on some good matches. Like day one last year, her and Becky put on a really good match. And then, like we just
Hmm.
referenced, the match between her and Nia Jax. I mean, between her and Rhea Ripley put on a good match. Even that showcase with her and Lyra at King and Queen of the Ring was actually pretty good
Oh yeah.
when it came to making Lyra look good, which I know she recently commented on how she really liked working with Lyra and she sees a lot of potential in her. So I got to give you some props for that, Nia. Thank you for giving Lyra some love on there, but she did make
Hmm.
Lyra look really good in that match between the both of them. So I have nothing but respect when it comes to the work that Nia Jax has been putting in lately. So she definitely does deserve this attention that she's getting. And I love the
Oh
code
yeah.
red. I love the electric chair position. I loved everything that was being showcased in this match because both of these ladies are powerhouses. So the best way to really do something like this is just showcase like how much of a powerhouse they are. Like if you were
Hmm.
calling like this is pretty much like the women's version of like seeing somebody like Bron Breakker and Sheamus just going back and forth and hitting each other. Like this is pretty much like the woman's version of that. If you get what I'm trying to, you get what I'm referring
Oh
to.
yeah.
Like the whole I don't want to say if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm referring to. I don't want to get into detail with that. With
Is
the
it is
whole
it the
the
the Big E
yes,
thing? Yeah. Oh, don't worry.
yeah,
Don't worry. I'll make mention of that when we get to the next match. But
yeah,
I'm actually kind of glad you brought up the Sheamus Braun Breaker thing because as soon as that match started, I thought to myself, I'm like, oh wait, these two matches are pretty similar. So I'm glad you kind of pointed that out too, because it's like, yeah, they are kind of similar. Where it's just like you have these two forces facing off against each other, both of them kind of bruisers and all that, but like it was different enough because at least with like Sheamus and Braun, they both can kind of move quicker.
mm-hmm,
Whereas with like Nia, like not Nia's not as nimble on her feet as most people, and especially as much as Rhea is. But like she's still again a powerhouse because like she was able to reverse a lot of Rhea's offense, hit a few Samoan drops on her own. The Annihilator that she hit on Rhea to like her back, great selling point too, and great storytelling part of that as well. Like, oh, Rhea's back is gonna be hurting now. She's not gonna be able to do these big moves. She's not gonna be able to hit the Riptide and all that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, again, I just thought it was really good, and I do want to keep giving Nia her props because back in the day, I was I was one of the Nia Jax haters, and
Yeah,
I
I was
still
too.
am to a point. Like I still am to a point when she talks on the mic,
Mm.
but at least in ring she's gotten better, and in ring I can accept her, I guess is the a better term, I guess. I don't really know what terminology to use because again, I really despise Naya, and there was even a part of me at some points with her this past year on the mic where I'm just like, okay, I think I get what you're doing. You're being purposefully cringy,
Mhm.
but it's like really super cringy then. So it's like, okay, fine, whatever, do your thing, Nia. But yeah, I still want to give her props and all that. Mm. But I mean, yeah. So like, where do we go from here? I mean, Nia's going to be joining the Royal Rumble, next week. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, who's going to be able to toss her out? And another stat too that they brought up in this match. Apparently, her and Rhea are tied for most eliminations in like the Royal Rumble itself.
Oh.
So I mean, I guess next week Nia's going to be breaking that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like answering your question, because it's like there's always that
Mhm.
Nia Jax spot in the Rumble where either all the ladies attack her, or there's that one person that takes her out all by herself. Like last year, it was Jade, and I felt like that was a really good way to just showcase Jade's strength and just get
Mhm.
over with the crowd when it comes to like a big move like that. I wouldn't be opposed to like Jordan Grace doing something like that this year
Oh,
because
I wouldn't either.
it's not a secret. I mean, we know that she's heading to WWE. It's just a matter of when. But I wouldn't be
Mhm.
opposed to seeing something like that because that's definitely in her arsenal because we've seen um how much strength she has when it comes to the kind
Yeah.
of moves that she does. Because when I was watching that match that she had with Tessa Blanchard, not saying that Tessa Blanchard's like the only person that she hasn't done this before, but she did some crazy moves on the top rope. She did some crazy moves outside of the ring where it's like she put someone over,
Mhm.
like she did like a fireman's carry and she just rolled her. She was like on top of the steel steps and she did a fireman's carry off of her, like almost like
Yeah.
she was rolling while she still had her attached to her.
Mhm.
So it's like I wouldn't be opposed to like seeing Jordan Grace do something like that. But yeah, Nia's another thing I'm really curious about
Mhm.
is that like Nia mentioned like Tiffany recently again. I'm not sure if that's going to be revisited again one last time, possibly at a SmackDown. I don't see it at a PLE, but I don't know if that's going to be
Mhm.
revisited again just to tie up things with there because it's like doesn't really seem like things like wrapped up when it comes to at least one last match between the two because I feel like it would be cool at the very least to see like them wrap up things there just so there
Yeah.
isn't any loose ends with Nia because
Yeah.
we don't really know exactly like outside of the Rumble where Nia's going because I don't think she's gonna go on Raw. I mean, she could, but that would mean by default you would have to take Candace with her too. So it's like
Mhm.
I feel like we just gotta figure out exactly where she's going from there. But with Rhea, I mean, just like Tiffany, they're gonna have to wait and see who her challenger is. And we'll talk more
Yeah.
about this on Grappling with the Week, but I'll just bring it up for the topic of conversation just to
Mhm.
give you guys something to think about until Grappling of the Week. Um there was a report that came out yesterday about Bianca and Rhea potentially being let's just say like that's been talked about to happen at Mania this
Mhm.
year. Again, that could just be a conversation. So I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be a thing or not, because you still got that story going on with Jade. So I don't know how you take Bianca away from Jade. Even if Bianca didn't do it, like, I would still feel Jade would feel indifferent with her. So I'm not really sure how they really make sense. And then she's also the tag champion. So like, how do you like completely remove Bianca from that? But obviously, for me personally, I want to see if Triple H does something with like the whole Io and Rhea thing, just to map out what Rhea's WrestleMania is. Because with Nia, at least it's she can go in the match, you could start something with somebody there. But there's like only like, at least to me, there's only like one person that really makes sense as of right now to go after Io. I mean, they could easily do it with Bianca. I'm having a hard time wrapping my tongue around the whole this match happening now. But
Yeah. No, I get that because, well, like that's the thing. It's like there is that. Yeah. So just to kind of break down everything that was talked about. So it's like, there's still the stuff with Tiffany that Nia has to do. So like we still got to revisit that. We still got to close that chapter and all that. And I kind of agree with you too. I think that could happen on a SmackDown.
Yeah.
And how Tiffany gets out of that, that's neither here nor there. We'll have to see how that plays out. But like, I mean, beyond that, I mean, Nia, I mean, there are mid-card titles and all that. So like, if she does go to Raw, we could have that rematch between her and Lyra.
Yeah.
Maybe Lyra can get her win back from Nia Jax during the the Queen of the Ring tournament. There's always the U.S. title picture that's on SmackDown that she could enter.
That is true.
She still has Candice around, so like they could be tag team, champions or something, or like be put in like a multi-woman tag team title match, which they seem to like to do for WrestleMania. Which getting everybody on the WrestleMania card, fine, cool, whatever. But beyond that, I mean, there's not really much more story beyond that she could enter, because like, again, she can end the stuff with Tiffany, and I mean that basically ends anything with the world title. And when we do like mid-card titles, the only story would be her chasing Lyra then. And then if she's doing the thing with the tag titles, there's really not much story there besides, oh, we've lost to Bianca and Naomi like X amount of times. Like, I think it's been like 2 so far that they've lost to them against.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall, again, this match was great. It was fine. Everything turned out pretty good for this, especially in the time that they had to build all this. Because, like, this match was made, what, Monday?
Yeah.
Like,
it was made Monday, yeah.
Yeah, so we had almost no time to really build for it. So what they were able to put on was great. It was fantastic. We're going to pivot right now to the next match, which was the Intercontinental title match between Bron Breakker and Sheamus. And these two just have really good chemistry with each other. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. Like, they have really good chemistry with each other. And again, it's just two meaty men bumping meat. That's what this match is. That's what they're good at. And man, I just love and enjoy it. Especially like there was that spear that Bron Breakker did before the commercial break.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was so good. Like Bron Breakker has a way with like his timing and just like how he is in the ring. And one thing I did like too in this match is it was just the beginning of it, and I think this is mainly because Bron Breakker kind of reminds me of some people I went to high school with. Like he kind of just fits that mold and fits that build. But just at the beginning of the match where he's just kind of like sizing up Sheamus, but it's like the way he was, his stance and all that stuff, it really kind of took me back to like my high school wrestling times when like, trying to size up your opponent, trying to like, be in your stance and all that, and like trying to either like, poke their little head to distract them so you can go in for a shoot takedown, things like that. But I don't know, just like it kind of made me feel like that again. But not only that, like they were mentioning his speed, like being as fast as like not a running back, but like a wide receiver or something. But like he's so big and like he's so powerful and he's just a force and all that. And like you really get that just through this match. And Sheamus is the perfect opponent for that because Sheamus is a big bruiser in himself, you know? And yeah, these two just have really, really good chemistry with each other. And unfortunately, it wasn't Sheamus's night, and it's probably not going to be Sheamus's night until Mania.
Yeah.
Which I mean, we
Smart.
could get a third match with them,
Yeah.
or if somebody does beat Braun for it by then, it could be them versus Sheamus. But yeah, I just really like this match, and I really like Bron Breakker, and I hope after tonight we showcase him more on TV because it's like he's barely on Raw anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll go ahead and pivot to you. How'd you think about everything?
Well, I want to give a shout out to Jesse Ventura on commentary too,
Yes.
because when he was on commentary for this match, it just made it a lot better. Especially when he was giving his thoughts when Braun put his foot on the rope after that bro kick. He's like, "Oh, I saw the
That
3
was
count
perfect.
before that happened. It doesn't make sense for him just to
Hmm.
put his leg on the rope right after the 3 count because the ref didn't see it." Like that was really entertaining within like the whole match itself. But yet again, Bron Breakker and Sheamus do have good chemistry. They work really well together based on what we've been seeing. And yeah, tonight wasn't Sheamus's night, which I'm happy because I know a lot of people were saying if we were to have a title change tonight, this would probably be the title change because nobody expected Rhea to lose her title. Nobody expected Gunther to lose his title. So if there were to be like one moment where a title change happens, then it would have been the Intercontinental Championship, which I can understand if it were to
Hmm.
happen with Sheamus. But I just feel like since this is like Sheamus's big story right now, I feel like you want to pay that off at like WrestleMania. It just screams WrestleMania moment where it's like Sheamus finally goes after the title that he never wanted, that he never,
Yeah.
well, obviously hasn't gotten it yet, but just going after the title that he's always wanted. Because I remember he was talking to Chris Van Vliet during his interview that I listened to recently when he was on the show, saying how he loved the world title growing up and everything, but the one that captured his eyes the most was the IC title, which back then that was pretty much the championship that was viewed as a world title, just based on the kind of names
Hmm.
that was with the title and everything. So you can't really blame him for really thinking that way. But it's like just a big moment with that within itself. And it's not like it's just something that just got told last week. I mean, this has been Sheamus's goal for like quite some time now. It's like Cody finishing his story, getting the title that his dad never won. This is a title that Sheamus admired ever since he was a little kid, something that's been with him ever since a child. So you would want to pay that off at the big stage. When it
Hmm.
does go to, okay, does Bron Breakker hold the title going into Mania? Does somebody else get the title going into Mania that might be like a bigger challenge for Sheamus in terms of like this big rivalry between the both of them? But to me, I feel like you would have to have Bron Breakker hold the title until Mania because Bron Breakker seems like that dead end sign that you see when you're like going
Yeah.
in the street on your car, where it's like you're going by a
Literally.
street and then it says dead end. You go down there, you see Braun Breaker. It seems like Braun Breaker is really blocking him from achieving his goal. So you would think, straight off the bat that Braun Breaker would have to be the one heading into WrestleMania with the title, and then Sheamus would win it there. And I got to give some props to Braun as well because he was very smart in this match. He was targeting Sheamus's limbs, targeting
Hmm.
Sheamus's ribs, which is nice because if you want your finisher to hit and get the job done, I mean that's definitely a way to do it. You spear them right when you're doing all that damage, so you could take out your opponent a lot easier. That's why whenever we see like these technical matches, like you saw with Bret Hart all those years ago, Bret Hart's known as one of the best technical wrestlers of all time. And you've seen him do a lot of stuff like that where he tried wearing down his opponents so he can get them at a level where once he locks in the sharpshooter, they're over and done with. Just like how
Yeah.
You see Gunther constantly nailing people down with those chops, or he does those sleeper holds, whatever, so he can execute those power bombs better, or whatever he does. He's the
Mhm.
one person who doesn't have a finisher, doesn't really need one because he just beats the absolute shit out of you. So I got to
Yeah.
get props for Braun for that. But another question I have too is like, how do you prolong this to Mania too? Because you would think after this, Sheamus is more than likely going to
Yeah.
be in the Rumble. Same thing with Bron Breakker, because if Shinsuke just confirmed that he's going to be in the Rumble on Friday, you would think by default Bron Breakker would be in it. Because you have the U.S. champion on SmackDown being a part of the Rumble. You would feel like you would probably see Bron Breakker in there. You would more than likely see Sheamus in there. You could probably you could probably have that stare down between Bron Breakker and Sheamus in the Rumble.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna ask you, like, how do you feel like they could prolong this to WrestleMania if
Um,
that is the destination?
I mean, you could do the Rumble thing where it's like, oh, Sheamus eliminates Braun. Oh, there you go. There's a WrestleMania thing like that. You could always do. I mean, you could always do like, I don't know how you'll feel about this. You could always do like another multi-man kind of thing, where it's like, okay,
Mm,
Braun's not in the decision for it. Sheamus
yeah,
still goes over, but he's not in the decision. But then it's also just like, okay, well, Braun just lost the title again, and again, he hasn't really been showcased on the weekly show, so it's like, you kind of eat like a double-edged sword, where it's like, okay, you got the moment, but you kind of also put one of your rising stars down again. So it's like, what do you do with that? I mean, prolonging it. I mean, it might just be the Rumble thing. That's just the first thing that comes to my mind with it. I mean, again, like Sheamus can claw his way back to being the number one contender for it,
mm.
but they would probably have to add the caveat, like, okay, if you don't beat me this time,
Oh
like
yeah, that would,
they'll have to go like the whole route of like, you can never challenge for the title again as long as I'm holding it, you
yeah.
know.
That I can easily see that
So
being a thing, to be honest, because he's
yeah,
already had so many shots at it already.
yeah, like between Braun Breaker and Gunther, like he's. It seems like that's the only title he's been fighting for. Which again, that's the story that we're going with and all that. But like that would be the only addition or caveat to it. It's like, okay, well, you can have another shot. You've earned your other shot, but this is it. Like,
Mm.
if you don't get it here, you're never gonna get it. And I mean, if he doesn't get it, then you could always do the whole like. I know. I've spoken about it too, about the whole like Money in the Bank thing, because that would be a loophole around that. But I would prefer him to win the actual title at Mania
Yeah, me
rather
too.
than do the loophole
Yeah,
aspect of
that's
it.
something I could see Mello
But
doing because Mello's just so frustrated right now. That's like that
hmm
because that just screams Carmelo. Like that's my early Money in the Bank pick this year, guys. Is Carmelo Hayes
same here.
because he just
Yep.
seems like the kind of person that would. It just screams like his name to have that. But
Oh yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I would rather him do it in a way where he wins it himself because I feel like it just fits his character a lot more.
hmm Yeah, and I kind of want to backtrack with like Jesse Ventura on commentary, because like, again,
Yeah.
brilliant heel work on commentary. Because that's the thing, when you watch the ref do the 3 count, you do see him like not do the 3 count, like the third count, and see like the leg and all that. But like, again, Jesse being the heel on the commentary, he has to push that narrative. And I don't know if you saw the picture that him and Sheamus had on Twitter.
Mm-mm.
But it's just him, like, kind of consoling Sheamus, I guess, in the back, being like, "Yeah, the referee cheated." Basically saying that it's just like, okay, yeah, you know what? Again, brilliant work. But also, like, when Bron Breakker comes out, he's just like, he is a Steiner, so that means to him 2 + 2 = 5. And I'm like, oh my god, are we doing Steiner math? Are we doing Steiner math on commentary? And I love how Pat McAfee piggybacked on that. He's just like, yeah, 33 1/3% chance, and like, oh yes, you brilliant bastards, do it, just ride on it, keep doing that, because I love that. That might be one of the best promos to go around, just because of how ridiculous it is. Because Samoa Joe, you got a 33 and a third % chance, but Kurt Angle can't beat me. Oh my god, I can go on for days with that, but yeah, and I do like too again how like Braun, he was smart in this. Like we're seeing like the evolution of Bron Breakker here, because like when he first came on to the scene, like he was cocky and all that, and that's kind of why he lost the title to Jey for a bit, because he got cocky, he was very headstrong in his matches, but like now he's being more calculated, he's being more targeted with his moves and with his Yep, the ribs, because like we saw that later on.
That's really smart.
Yeah, it's very smart. But like, yeah, we saw it later on when Sheamus tries to go for a brogue kick and he like stops. He's just like, shoot. I almost said crikey. He's not a freaking Australian guy. He's Irish. He's just like, oh bloody hell. And then Braun hits a spear and that's it for him. So yeah, great match and all that, and also Bron Breakker with the Bret Hart colors too.
Oh yeah,
very very nice touch.
Yeah, I like that. Bret Hart's great. I like that.
It was great, and also just a side tangent too. Nice seeing all the legends out there too. Them highlighting the legends out there like Mark Henry. I think Medusa was out there. Arn Anderson probably had his Glock on him, so Hulk Hogan definitely stayed away from him. Even freaking what's his name? Hacksaw Jim Duggan was out there. Like it was really nice seeing him.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing him. Good time to show him too, because he was the first Royal Rumble winner.
Yep, and with the Royal Rumble coming out next week, hey, great to see the first winner of it all. But yeah, I'm curious to see where both of them go from here. I mean, if it is the third and possibly final match at Mania, cool, neat, awesome. But the road that we get to there, I'm more curious about. Like how are we going to construct that road? How are we going to keep the potholes from forming on that road? And how are we just going to fill everything to make it just make sense and be overall just a fun, good experience? Because the match will slap, but it's just like how we get there is going to lead to our investment to it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Oh, yeah. But speaking of investment, let's move on to something that people are heavily invested in. We've got our WWE title picture. We had a contract signing between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for their ladder match next week, which was officiated by Shawn Michaels. So this was a good contract signing segment.
Yeah, it was fun.
Both parties said their piece and all that. A bit more anger, I guess, in this, especially with like Kevin trying to say his piece earlier and Cody just cutting him off, being like, look, I'm ready to just fight and all that. But again, I want that Cody that
that was
that
a nice
shirt
reference.
Kevin was wearing.
That was a nice reference to the Dusty Sucks Eggs.
Yep. Because that was Terry Funk that wore it, right?
Yep.
That
was a nice reference.
See, people. Oh yeah. But I do want to say, Shawn, did you really have to say something about Kevin being jealous? Did you have to? Like, he just grabs the mic and just like, Kevin, you're jealous. It's just like, dude, you're just asking to be pile driven. Like,
well, I'm happy he did instigate it, because heading into this, there was either like two things I saw happening. Either Shawn took a bump and got a pile driver, or he delivered a sweet chin music to Kevin Owens, which we ended up seeing him deliver sweet chin music, which it's honestly been quite some time since I've seen him do it. So it was a nice feel good moment. It made sense. It was in his hometown, so you got to give HBK like some sweet spot right here. But I thought this was fun for what it was. And one of the things I could really appreciate when it comes to Cody in this feud, like outside of Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens has been doing probably the best work that he's done in quite some time, especially when it comes to this feud with Cody Rhodes. Like, everything has been flowing so well And we did comment last night that there really isn't much they can really do. They're just trying to get to the match at this point. So that's why I'm willing to put some of that stuff to the side, because it's like, I get that we're not getting as much like action-packed stuff like we normally did heading into this feud, because you could sort of tell once they're trying to like prolong something to like their next televised event or their next PLE, like, okay, we're gonna throw a couple more things in here, and then you're gonna get like the big payoff of a lot of explosive shit, because that ladder match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, I expect to be a fantastic match. So they're just doing everything they can to really get there. But like I was saying, the thing I really appreciate with Cody within this whole entire feud with Kevin Owens is I like how Cody's more edgy this time. What I mean by that is, like, I like how he's straightforward. He has more aggression when it comes to not just his tone, but his overall approach when it comes to him and Kevin Owens. And that's something that a lot of people have been wanting to see from Cody, because we're fans of Cody here. Everybody loves Cody. Cody's probably one of the best storytellers right now when it comes to like ongoing wrestlers within the space, when it comes to, you know, telling a proper story and everything like that. Very good on the mic, everything along the lines of that. But a lot of people wanted to see Cody show more aggression instead of just being that nice guy that shakes your hand all the time. So I like how Cody is showing that side of him, and he wants to get this contract signed and get everything all over and done with, so he can head to the Royal Rumble, beat Kevin Owens, head to WrestleMania. Like, that's the kind of attitude you would expect from somebody that does not give a fuck about you, and he just wants you out of his way so he can main event WrestleMania 41. And that's something I could give Cody Rhodes some credit for, because that's something that a lot of us have been wanting to see from him, is to get a little bit more edge. Like, you don't need to be like extremely edgy where you're cussing out like every 3 to 5 words in your promo, like saying fuck, fuckity fuck. Like, you don't gotta go overboard like that, but it's like at least having more edge, so you're not like being a kiss ass or whatever. Like that's nice to see to come out of Cody recently. And obviously with the comments that KO made, getting a reaction out of Cody and getting a reaction out of Shawn, that was really nice to see too. And my biggest question is, and we didn't get it answered here, remember how Nick Aldis brought up the whole thing about some ultimatum or whatever it was called? I wonder what is that stipulation, because if him and Sam,
because I thought we were gonna get that tonight, you know,
that's what I thought.
And we didn't. It like, because I wanted to bring that up too, because it's like, okay, I'm just sitting there waiting. All right, so what's this added like amendment or whatever to their contract? Like, because there's a reason that they had to change the contract or whatever. Like, was it just the fact that, oh, they have to both give their titles to Shawn, and they get raised up even though they're not going to be in that stadium? Like, that's the other thing that got me. They were just like, oh yeah, put them on the little hook, and we're gonna raise them above the ring. It's just like, wait, but y'all aren't gonna be in the stadium. In fact, y'all are gonna be up north, like way up north compared to Texas. Like, why? Was that it? I mean, again, I thought there was going to be something more with it, you know. But I mean, maybe something will come up through the weeks or anything. But yeah, I do have to agree with you though. It's like, I like Cody's attitude here, because like, yeah, you don't have to cuss and, you know, throw out all these curse words and all that. Like, it's all about the tone that you bring in the words that you say. You know, and Cody's really good at changing all of that and making you feel the emotion that they want you to get or want you to interpret from what they're saying and all that. But like, especially with Cody, he's like, look, I am looking beyond you. You're now in my past. I am done with you. And after Saturday, all I'm going to be worrying about is who I'm going to have to fight at WrestleMania. I'm not worried about you. Like, even going in, like, Cody's words basically being like, I am not worried about you in the slightest. I'm more worried about who I'm going to have to face at WrestleMania. And, I mean, it could be the winner of the Royal Rumble, or it could be a certain Viper that might be just be slithering around in the shadows, not really doing anything quite yet to you, Cody. Like it could be somebody like that who might not win the Rumble, but might still get under your skin enough to make you put that title up on the line. Ah, man. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was a good segment. I I, I thought about I thought about it a little bit because my first instinct was, oh, Kevin kind of looks like a dork because it's
Mm.
like, okay, he's kind of justified in his actions and like in the things that he says and how he feels and all that, and like kind of like last night how he was on the losing end of that beatdown. He was kind of on the losing end of this beatdown as well, but like I really hope that he puts Cody through the ringer in this ladder match
Yeah.
and like really does some damage to him a bit, at least
Yeah.
in kayfabe, not any real injuries or
Oh yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Like,
expecting the ladder match to be like very chaotic because this is the Royal Rumble. It's one of like the most. I mean, a lot of people say it's probably the best pay per view out of the year, and I can't disagree with them because you got two Rumbles, so it's not like all those years ago where you're getting one. You're getting spoiled. You're getting two. Plus, you got like DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns at a 2 out of 3. Um, um, 2 out of 3 falls match, and then you got the KO
mhm.
versus Cody ladder match. Ladder matches normally are very chaotic, so I want to be surprised Cody does a crossroads on top of when they're like both on the ladder, because I know he did that when he was wrestling Sam Guevara in
That'd be
AEW
sick.
where he pulled a stunt like that before. So it's like I'm
Yeah.
expecting this thing to be chaotic. Like I'm expecting to see a lot of shit happen here. Like you said, there's
Hmm.
a possibility Randy could come here, which I'm kind of hoping because I'm hoping Randy could also take part in the Rumble, because if that's a fresh Randy right there, I want to be like, oh yeah, I'm Randy Orton. I return in this match. That's all I'm done doing for that. Like no, Randy, enter yourself in the Rumble. I mean, there's a part of me that also really wants to see Cody and Randy potentially at Mania too. But
Yeah.
you're fresh,
Yep.
but it's like yeah, I definitely expect that match to be chaotic. And
Oh yeah.
what I was thinking of when you were talking is I feel like there's a possibility we might find out what that ultimatum or whatever the hell it's called. We might find. I have a feeling they might try to. I have a feeling they might show that on the next SmackDown just to sell the last few bits of Royal Rumble. I mean, you already sold out like the fucking thing, but it's like I feel like they might try to sell out that last show where it's like, okay, this is what happens.
Hmm.
And then after that, you'll find out, like, okay, this is what Nick Aldis was alluding to. I feel like that SmackDown, we could potentially get it. Or maybe on Monday, because
Yeah.
Cody's supposed to be on Raw on Monday because it's in his hometown.
Yeah. I feel like Monday's show with Cody there. I feel like that's gonna be more of the Royal Rumble people coming back and
Hmm.
being like, "Hey, I'm gonna come after you," or like Gunther coming out and being like, "Why are you guys so busy about
Oh,
Cody
yeah,
when
that's
I'm
true.
also a world champion?"
Yeah. If
Because
you were
because
to.
that's the thing.
Hmm.
Because like what's today's date? Today's the 25th. A certain tribal chief said he was going to come back on the 27th,
Yeah.
and that's Monday.
Kind of surprised they didn't advertise
Yeah.
Monday's show.
Well, I mean, like that's the thing. It's like, oh, I guess they're expecting people to just remember that. Which I mean, thank you for trusting us to remember something,
Yeah.
especially some of us who have really kind of crap memories at times. But yeah, because like that's the thing. Like you can have Roman show up there. I don't know. I don't know if this is one of Cena's dates
I would
to
hope
show up,
so. I would hope so
but
because
yeah.
we know he's going to be at the Rumble a bit, but I mean, like, I know he has like a select few dates of what he's going to
Hmm.
do this year. But I would only think that's like, show up on that last Monday before the Rumble just to sell like the rest of that match. I just feel like it's nice because if you were to pick at least, I'll give at least 3 to 5 people that could confront Cody. Like, who would it be? Like, for me, I would say, I'm not going to say Randy because they're probably going to save that for like Rumble. But
Yeah.
I would probably say like Cena, Punk, or Drew. That something
Yeah.
along the lines of that. Like who do you could
I could
potentially
also see
see?
Seth.
Oh yeah, Seth too. That's another one.
Yeah. Like, I could see Seth being the first one out there.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like Cody and Gunther are going to be there at the same time.
Yeah, and I kind of hope so too. Just because, like, I hate how they've been doing the whole world heavyweight title with Gunther right now. But that we can talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, I could see Seth being one of the first ones out there because, like, he also should probably be talking to Cody about this whole Roman thing too.
Yeah,
you know, because like he's still gonna talk to him about that and kind of reference that and everything. So, and I mean, yeah. So like, there's so many people that could be interacting here, and like so many just stare downs and all that. Like the hockey itself in that ring is gonna be off the charts.
As long as it's not another segment like Friday with the ladies of more people declaring for it. As long as if it's just people coming out, having a conversation
who have already declared for it.
Yeah, I would like that a lot more.
Yeah, because like right now, I think for the men's, we've already got about 10. So we've got like a third of the field already filled out. So like, if you just keep it at that, fine, great, thank you. That would be great. Because that leaves like 20 people to be surprises. Like, oh, I don't know, Xavier and Kofi, and then Big E comes out, but that's wishful thinking as well on that end. But yeah, again, great contract signing and all that. We'll have to see if SmackDown adds an extra stipulation or not to their ladder match and all that. So yeah, let's kind of go ahead and move forward with probably the most anticipated match of the evening.
Yeah, I mean,
Braun Strowman taking on Jacob Fatu. So yeah, Jacob Fatu, first of all, had another banger of I want to start kind of referring these as like gorilla position promos, because like they're walking towards gorilla position and going through it and all that. So another great gorilla position promo and all that. And again, this is just another big, meaty, just brawl between two kaiju beasts. Now, I have a couple things that I had issues with this match. Now, they're not like huge main like match destroying issues. Just a couple things that I poked at. One was during the commercial break. So we have a commercial break during the match. Fine, whatever. We come back and commentary is literally like, man, Jacob Fatu has been on top this whole time. Man, Jacob Fatu, I don't see how anybody could beat him. Like, he was pulling off stuff during the commercial break that was insane. And I'm sitting here at home like, wow, would have been great to see all that.
Yeah, no.
Like, you come back from commercial break, not even with a picture-in-picture commercial break. You come back from a straight-up commercial break, and you're saying that. And I'm like, what? You're making me feel FOMO right now. You're making me wish I flew out to San Antonio to see this whole not pay-per-view, this whole, like, network special and all that. So, like, we already have that. So that was my one big, and again, nitpicks, whatever. My other thing, the match ended in a DQ. Now, before we get to the stuff that happened after the match, I wasn't a fan of that because I would have much preferred a more clear winner in this confrontation. Now, granted, we had, the after match beatdown, which gave us a clear winner after that. But like, it's just one of those things where it's just like, at least for the record books or whatever, I would have preferred an actual winner here and then do the beatdown. But, again, post-match beatdown kind of made up for it because this man, Jacob Fatu, it was like 10 running hip attacks he did, like about 10 of them, and 3 moonsaults. This man just absolutely, like, we got blood on national television. Just gonna throw that out there. But like, man, this man, and people were cheering Fatu. They were like, Fatu. This man is gonna be huge when they let him be
Yes,
unleashed.
it's like I said last night. I feel like this year is going to be his breakout year. He's going to be doing a lot of incredible things. And I just want to point out before I love his outfit when he was coming out, because he was
Hmm.
rocking the new T-shirt that we saw that was on WWE's shop. He had his own little version of like the Ula Fala around his neck, because I know he's being called the tribal werewolf now. That's the nickname that he's getting. Obviously, has no correlation to what Roman's doing, but just him having that sort of alias is like really cool. And I just love that overall presentation of him. I love how they're keeping it a consistent theme. When he comes out, he's cutting a
Yeah.
promo before his match. That's also really cool to see. But normally I do have problems when it comes to matches just ending in a DQ, but I feel like the way they did it tonight, I didn't really mind it, because I feel like if
Hmm.
you want to get that sort of reaction that you did with the crowd, with them getting behind Jacob Fatu, and just how we know who Jacob Fatu is at this point based on his character, and then for more people to get a better understanding of what limits Jacob Fatu is able to go to, I feel like that presentation that they gave him tonight in the match, just having the DQ, because normally you get like 5 minutes when you're like stopping somebody, like how Stone Cold did back then, putting somebody in the corner,
Yeah.
doing the mud hole. So because sometimes he even went overboard, where he went over the 5 count before he was like pulled
Yeah.
away, because Stone Cold just did whatever the fuck he wanted. That's why he works so well. Doesn't matter if he's a face or a heel. He just did whatever the fuck he wanted. And that's why a lot of people loved him, because he's a badass. So I liked
Yeah.
how they went that direction with Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman, because I know me and you were talking about it, and they're like, if this is the main event, something crazy is gonna happen. The ring's gonna break. Somebody's gonna get beaten to a pulp or whatever. And I feel like we still got that answer where Braun Strowman got beaten to a pulp. He had all those hip attacks on him. He had those 3 moonsaults being done on him to really just sell the effect of like who Jacob Fatu really is. And I like that, because once he comes out on SmackDown, he's gonna get a loud reaction.
Oh
Once you
yeah.
see him in the Royal Rumble, he's gonna get a loud reaction. Like seeing Jacob Fatu having like face to faces with like a lot of people in the ring. Like imagine you get like another face to face of like Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns, where they're both eyeing each other
Oh.
in the Rumble, or you see him come across somebody that's like not even like, I'm gonna throw it out here. I expect Obafemi to be in the Rumble, just so they can showcase their NXT talent, so the audience is familiar with them before they come up on the main roster. I expect the same thing with the ladies, with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, but I can easily see Obafemi being a part of it. You can get a stare down between Obafemi and Jacob Fatu. Like I know that would give me chills, because Jacob Fatu is a monster. Obafemi is a monster too. So it's like just teasing all these potential matchups with Jacob Fatu, knowing how I mean I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. I'm just gonna put this out here. I wouldn't be surprised if he could potentially break an elimination record. I wouldn't be opposed
He
to it
could.
if they went down that sort of direction. And just
Yeah.
based on this overall presentation that they're giving him, I know the rumors are Roman and CM Punk right now at Mania, but I honestly want Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns. I just feel like
Oh, same here.
that would be. I'm not saying it would be. I'm not trying to degrade CM Punk and Roman Reigns if it happens that it's going to be a bad match, but I just feel
Hmm.
like since they just been teasing it so much and there's family history there, I just feel like it just makes more sense to head down that direction if you want to establish Jacob Fatu even further. And I expect Jacob Fatu to go over in that match if it happens, but just look at his overall presentation right now. Like, this is what me and you have been waiting to see with Jacob Fatu for the longest time, because we know, because Jacob had, like, sometimes there's people that are good on the mic but can't really do as much in the ring, and then there's some people that can't talk on the mic at all, and just have like a lot of fun time, and just put on a lot of great matches in the ring. And then there's that mixture where they can do both, and that's Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
He's great on the mic, he's
Hmm.
great in the ring. And this guy, I know he's going to be a big star. Like, my mom was joking around with me. she's like, "Damn, do you want a Jacob Fatu shirt for like your birthday or something this year?" She was just teasing me. I was like,
Yeah.
"Mom."
Yeah,
After
actually.
I saw that match, like I was already a fan of him. I was already planning on getting merch from him. But like after seeing
Yeah.
all that destructive shit, I was like, I would totally rock out
Yeah.
that red shirt with like the white eyes and the wolf. Like it was playing tricks
Mhm.
on my eyes. I actually thought that shit was lighting up. Like I don't know if that's just one of those I forgot what it's called, like Mandela effects, where it's like you look at something, you think it's there, but it's not. Like I thought that fucking shirt was like lighting up, like it had like two little eye beads that was like lighting up and shit. But I actually I really like this. Like this was probably my favorite part of the night. Plus, like you said, having blood when it matters,
Yeah.
actually showcasing blood when it needs to be showcased to sell whatever happened in that moment. That's why when it happens every once in a while, it hits harder.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Like, and especially with somebody like Braun Strowman, who doesn't really get beaten down this
No,
bad. You know, like he's usually the one that does the beating down, and even still, he's never beaten anybody down this bad. Like, yeah, he's
no.
like thrown trucks and other stage equipment onto people and all that, but like people have come back from that before, like especially Roman. Roman came back from a lot of that shit because he was the one that had to suffer through a lot of that shit.
Oh yeah.
But like, we've never seen anybody like get beaten down so badly like this, like especially a monster like this. Like, this is very similar to like if Kane got destroyed by somebody. Like Mass Kane, like back in like early 2000s, late 90s Kane. Like you just don't see that too often. So yeah, and that's why like with the DQ finish and all that, that's why like this post match beatdown kind of helped kind of ease that blow a little bit, because it's just like, okay, you still got your heat, you still got that, and you still like technically like you lost the battle but you won the war kind of mindset with it. So you know what, I'm cool with it, I'm fine with it. This can lead to them having another match too down the road.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we kind of saw that with what's his name, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, when they had their confrontation, their little feud going on, and they had like the last monster standing match. I mean, why not do the same thing with Jacob and Braun, And especially with like Braun being like this monster and all that, people are like, "Oh, he's going to be out for a long time." It's just like, well, he could be, but he's also he's also built as a monster. So like you could do something at like Elimination Chamber where it's like, okay, we're going to add a stipulation to this where it's no DQ at least, and this way Jacob Fatu can actually like kind of go all the way out, because like
Yeah.
this also felt like to me one of those matches where like they left a lot on the table, and you can kind of get that knowing that was just a normal singles match.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm happy with the future that's in store, especially for Jacob Fatu, and where we're gonna be going with all this. So, yeah, I'm excited. Sounds like Drop's excited. Hopefully, you're excited out there in the comments and in the Ethernet and all that. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to dive right in to our main event of Saturday night's main event. We had the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. We had Gunther taking on Jey Uso. And this might have been one of Jay's better matches, especially in singles title competition and all that. But Gunther had control the whole match. I mean, he had Jay on the back end a lot of the time, and even Jay with having some hope spots here and there, much like Thanos, Gunther is inevitable. But yeah, I thought this match was really good, and especially like the chops we were hearing from both sides of the spectrum, because like both of them were like slapping the crap out of each other, just like whether it was the face, the chest, the midsection, whatever, like they were hitting them each other pretty hard. But I guess my question here is, where does Jay go from here? Because it's like he could keep chasing this world title, but like where does he go from here?
Yeah, because you got to figure he's going to be in the Rumble match.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if that potentially teases like the next direction for Jey, because there's no way that you don't have Jey on the WrestleMania. Jay's like one of the
Oh yeah.
most arguable, the most over person in the company right now when it comes to the sort of reaction that he gets from the crowd. So you would feel like he has some moment heading into WrestleMania, but the question is like, what is it? Is it him and Jay teaming up for the tag titles? Is this something different? Because I don't know if I necessarily want Jay to really head down that direction as much as it would be cool for him and his brother to go after the tag titles again. I'm just so used to seeing Jay on his own, and they seem like
Mm-hmm.
they're really trying to push that with Jimmy too, which is it's nice to see that sort of change. So you don't
Yeah.
always have to look at them as tag team wrestlers, which is something that Gunther did bring up during this build, where he's like, "Oh, people are always going to look
Mm-hmm.
at you as like this tag team wrestler." If you want to pull up something that Jeff Jarrett did on Wednesday with MJF recently. I hate to bring this up because I'm not really a big fan of that whole storyline right now. But it's like you don't want to look at Jay as like this one hit wonder, where it's like, okay, Jade's getting this reaction now, then after that it's going to be over and done with. Like you want to keep capitalizing on Jay, and I feel like definitely in the future he is going to become a world champion. Like you got to eventually
Oh
pay
yeah.
that off, even if it's not for like super long. You got to eventually tell that story because that's just going to look good on his resume, and that's just going to prove even more down the line. I don't expect it to happen anytime soon, but that would just prove even more down the line that Jay's capable of getting to that level, because that's something that you know for sure they're
Mm-hmm.
going to capitalize on. But yeah, I don't really know where Jay go because I don't see him and Gunther running it at Mania. It does not make sense in the slightest. Like at all. That's what I'm saying. It's like with this whole transfer window thing. Like this is just a perfect opportunity
Yeah.
to have like a lot of new heads appear on a Raw or a SmackDown, because we don't know for sure if Jay's going to be on Raw or he's going to move to SmackDown where his brother is. So that's another question to point out as well. But it's like with this whole transfer window down, that's a good opportunity to show some new faces, some people that Jay can butt heads with. Like, I don't really know where Jay's going. Like
Yeah. I mean,
Gunther, I mean, it's kind of obvious. Like whoever wins the Rumble or Chamber, and then he finds out who his next opponent. Like if somebody wins Rumble, chooses Cody, okay, we'll find out who Gunther faces next month. If somebody wins the Rumble next weekend, then okay, we'll find out when Jay. Then we'll find out who Gunther wins in the following Monday. But it's really hard
mhm.
for Jay. I don't know. Like that's the hard thing.
Yeah.
It's like no, we don't need to revisit Braun again. We already did that. We don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
So it's like I
And then
don't know.
yeah, because like I know like early predictions for Mania were Jay and Jimmy against Gorillas of Destiny or whatever,
Yeah, I
and
did
it's
see
like
that.
okay, we can run that back, I guess.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That'd be neat. But yeah, I don't. How do we get there? I guess would be the question. Because I mean, Tonga Loa right now is still injured, and Tama Tonga, I mean,
Yeah.
seems like he's also trying to break out into singles stuff and all that. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like how do we build into that even beyond like the whole bloodline thing? Because like, as far as we know, with reports coming out, the bloodline shit is basically done, except for Roman being the tribal chief and all that.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard to like figure out with him. Like that's what I'm hoping is like we get something on Monday or something during the Royal Rumble that gives us like a good idea as to where Jay's heading next. Because either it's gonna be one of those things where we find out Monday, actually, or we find out on Royal Rumble and then he comes out. Like I don't know. I just feel like with Jay, it's gonna be like one of those things where it's like, oh, he doesn't win the Rumble. It's like, okay, got a chance at Chamber because I could easily see him being a part of a Chamber match, and then he loses there potentially. Which I would say he probably loses there too. So I don't really
Mm.
know. But like one thing I will give Jay credit for is like you mentioned earlier, and I did see a lot of people online saying this, and I do agree. Um, one of the things I did expect entering this match is that we were gonna see Gunther try to bring the best out of Jay. And what I mean by that is like we were gonna see Gunther bring out that side of Jay that we haven't seen before. because there was a lot of moments within this match itself where it could have ended, but it kept going. And Jey, I never saw Jey do like a running power bomb before. That was pretty cool to see. That's something that
Yeah.
you don't normally see Jey pull out of his arsenal. Because I know a lot of people tend to critique, Jey's moveset, where it's either like a spear or the Uso splash, or he's doing like a Samoan. I don't know if he even does Samoan drops in the room, but it's like super kicks.
Yeah.
But so it's like a lot of people do tend to like say, oh, he just does a good 4 to 5 moves or whatever, which at the end of the day, he's over. He's charismatic. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. After that, once you're over, and you could run along with it. But it's like,
Yeah.
he did very well in this match, and that's one of the things I like about Gunther and people like Seth Rollins, because even Seth Rollins said this when he was on Chris Van Veet's podcast. He was like, whenever I'm in the ring with someone, I always bring the best out of me. I always bring the best out of them, and Seth Rollins is very confident in that because. Do you recall that match that Seth Rollins had with Omos? Remember looking at that match on paper and we were like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? But then we saw it happen and they were like, holy shit, Seth
Pretty good.
actually brought Omos to his best match. So it's like one of those things where it's like you're in the ring with Gunther. You're gonna expect a banger because Gunther always tries to bring the best out of you. And that was pretty much the story heading into this match, to see if Jey could actually show Gunther that he's not just this tag team wrestler, and he could push himself to the limit if he has to really prove all the doubters wrong, or to prove Gunther wrong when in whatever situation at the ring. Which I kind of felt like the way Gunther looked at him, you sort of saw like that nod of approval in a way towards the end of the match. Obviously they had to close off because NBC was going on to Saturday Night Live after that. But
it's Saturday Night Live.
But I will agree that Gunther, Jey, well, Gunther did too, but Jey looked really good in this match.
Oh yeah, and yeah, again, Gunther really knows how to make his opponents look good.
Yeah,
and that's just what's the terminology I'm looking for? That's the mark of a true professional wrestler, is making sure that your opponent looks good even in defeat, and yeah, Gunther is a true professional in that aspect. Because yeah, again, he just a really good match. Because like going into this, I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, man, Gunther's held this thing since August, and most of his opponents from recent memory, I can think of like Sammy, I can think of Damian Priest, Finn Balor, but I can't really think of anybody beyond that. So I can't really recall anybody else he's faced for the title. And it's like, those matches were fine and all that, but like nothing really felt on the level of his IC title reign.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
So it's like, yeah. So it's like, okay, now we're having him face off against Jey. Oh, great. Jey's getting another shot at the world title, another shot at a singles title, even though he won the IC title a couple months ago. That was more of just like, oh, shoot, we should probably show that he actually had success in singles competition. But yeah, so like this match, it kind of helped me with that, with being like, okay, you know what? This was a good match. This is, solidifying his legacy with the world title. So, you know what? I am fine. I am satisfied. I am more than whelmed with this one. And yeah, I like, again, too, the little bit of show of respect that Gunther had. Like, it wasn't like a full-on, like, oh, let me shake your hand for a good match. It was just a nice, simple look of being like, yeah, you know what? I may have kind of beaten you and somewhat proven my point, but you also kind of proved your point, too. So, like, they kind of had a little meeting in the middle kind of thing, where it's just like, okay, you know what? You could have had me. You almost did, but I'm still Gunther. And again, like Thanos, I am inevitable.
Yeah, but I do want to like comment on what you said about like Gunther's current reign with the world title. Like that's something that I want to like talk about just for like a few minutes. It's like, where do you really see like Gunther literally going with this world title? Because it's like, going into it, we had high expectations just based on what we saw with the IC title, which we can't really blame us for thinking that, because
Yeah.
he brought the IC title back in a way where that actually felt like it was special again, because
Hmm.
with Gunther and because the IC title before, it was looked like shit just based on the presentation that
Yeah.
Vince did with it. Same thing with the US title, it was looked like garbage, but Gunther picked that right up and he made it feel special again. So it's like with Gunther, it's like Priest, Finn, now Jay.
Hmm.
It's like where does Gunther really go? That's why, like, I was when we were like heading into his world title reign, I thought it was gonna be one of those things. I was like, okay, you get another match out of Priest because it's fair. Priest deserves a rematch, and then around Survivor
Yeah.
Series, we're gonna get it somebody like Punk thrown at him. Punk would probably lose because Punk's a big name that could really help
Hmm.
establish Gunther if you were to beat him in that match. And then a lot of us were hoping, if it does go down that direction again, you get a match with Cena at Mania. That could really help propel Gunther even more. But
Yeah.
also the other part of it is like no feature on television. So it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to really, I guess, care as much as we should.
Hmm. Yeah, and like that's always been my big issue with mainly just the past few months, because like Gunther almost in a way has been kind of been thought of as an afterthought. Like
Yeah.
again, like you look at the Netflix debut. Oh, Gunther's not even your world champion isn't even on the show. You have Cody Rhodes there, who's the company champion and all that, but not even your world champion. And like that just goes into the whole argument of like the whole like two main title system and all that. Like, and I've gone on multiple rants about that, so I'm not gonna bring that up even
Mm.
again and all that. But it's like, yeah, where does it all lead to here? Because the other thing you got to think about too is when Gunther does drop, where does he go from there? You
Yeah.
know, and like, because like you run into the not saying it's a big issue, but like you run into the issue of like with what happened with his IC title reign. It's like, okay, who beats him? Is it somebody? Is it an up and coming star like Bron Breakker? Is it a more established person like Sami Zayn, or somebody who hasn't had much, like somebody who's been around for so long but hasn't won a singles title in like Chad Gable or anything? And I mean, I know I keep going harping on the Dragunov train, but I mean, there's a fucking there's a fucking story right there, and like a banger of a match that they can have, like, and you want to make a new star, you want to like make that title be like that Horseman title that you keep cheering on about, especially when Seth held it, like have somebody like Elio win it, or we keep saying, oh, John Cena could beat it from Gunther. I mean, there's another just endpoint right there for like finishing John's story.
Mm.
So yeah, it's just like there's a lot of different avenues that we could go down with Gunther, but like at the moment right now, especially going into Mania, it's like, well, where do we go from here? Because like again, he's kind of a bit of an afterthought with a lot of
Yeah.
people, or at least what it feels like with the company, and he really shouldn't be, because again, he's the main he's your world champion for your Netflix show. Like he should be featured as the main event of your Netflix show. And he's basically playing second fiddle to CM Punk and Drew in them, you know?
Yeah. That
So,
definitely feels like that. And it's unfortunate because he should feel just as important as that. I'm really hoping after Rumble we start getting back on track again, because that's when I'll
mhm,
give him a pass, because I know
yeah.
sometimes in January you're just trying to build to the event, and then once we officially get into it after Rumble, that's when things starts kicking off. So I'm honestly hoping things get better for him, like post Rumble.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. And hopefully he gets like a good match for like Elimination Chamber, and hell,
Yeah.
even just like even if he just has like a quick title defense on Raw or something, like have something.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
do something, just build him more, because Gunther's a good talent to have.
Yeah.
Because again, he can end the match whenever with whatever.
Yeah.
he is just that damn good. But anything else you wanted to mention about this main event before we kind of start closing down the show?
Um, Other than that, that's honestly all I have to really say. I mean, my biggest question really moving
Mhm.
forward is whatever we see Monday, Friday, and then Rumble. That's like the biggest
Yeah.
question there because once we reach that destination, that's when everything really takes off. So hoping to get better answers.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Same here. So, all right. Well, hey everybody, that was Saturday night's main event. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was some decent action, some good story progression when it comes to like Cody and Kevin Owens and all that going into the Royal Rumble, and just kind of starting a few things, like pushing some characters forward. And, I think by next week, like you said, after the Royal Rumble, we'll have a better idea of where we're going as we head into WrestleMania. But again, I thought tonight, again, very decent show, I thought. And I didn't feel like I wanted to tear my brains out, which is good, And that's the other thing, too. The 2 hours we watched of it flew by. Like, yeah, they crammed in a lot in the first hour, but like, it didn't feel like a lot. It felt natural. The pacing was just very nice, and I felt fine with it. So I'm just gonna pivot over to you. Drop. What do you think of the show overall?
I thought this show was really good. Like I said earlier, I probably enjoyed this show a lot more than the Saturday night's main event that we got in December, just because it just felt like
Hmm.
um it was structured a little bit better when it came to like the flow of the show outside of like the commercials and stuff, just the overall flow of the show where I felt like there was like a little bit more breathing room there instead of just having
Hmm.
like, okay, this is our first show, we got to throw everything in there, which I understood at the time, but that was also a part that really took it out for me was just because of like how it was structured around that time. But you stated as well, we got some good stories coming out of this when it comes to Jacob Fatu, his overall presentation, and then we had a
Yeah.
good contract signing between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Don't want to reiterate what I said throughout the show because obviously the time codes will be there, so you can hear me and Watkins' thoughts. But this right here, I would feel is like a little mini appetizer of what we're really gonna get next week.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of like if you were at a restaurant, you got like your little appetizer dish before your meal. That's pretty much how I
Yeah.
looked at tonight's Saturday night's main event. Because next week you're gonna
Yeah.
get the full course meal. You're gonna get the buffet pretty much because you're getting two rumbles in one night, and you're gonna
Hmm.
have anxiety up the ass. Because
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Royal Rumble, I will say, is the one pay per view that gives me so much fucking anxiety. Actually, no, it's Royal Rumble and WrestleMania that gives me those anxiety attacks. I think more it's like
Hmm.
Royal Rumble, and I'm not saying it in a bad way where it's like, oh shit, I'm having an anxiety attack, but it's like one of those where you get that adrenaline rush. You're like, holy shit, what the hell's gonna
Yeah.
happen? You got a fan favorite like me with Io next Saturday. I'm gonna be paying attention to her throughout the entire match, and I'm like, well shit, Charlotte's trying to
Hmm.
take Io out of the match. Like, come on, Io, you gotta like hang in there. Like that's what I love about
Yep.
the Royal Rumble because it just brings you back to that feeling.
Dude, I'll never forget the first women's Royal Rumble back in 2018. I was on edge of my seat watching as Asuka had to face both of the Bellas, and
Oh
I'm like,
god,
there's no way they're gonna have either Nikki or Brie win the first women's Royal
yeah,
Rumble, and then it ended up being like Asuka and Nikki. I'm just like,
yeah,
oh, son of a bitch. And then they're both on the apron, and you're just like, oh, son of a bitch.
yeah,
And it's like Nikki does this one move, and Asuka almost falls, and you're just like,
yeah.
oh,
I know.
motherfucker, don't do it. And then Asuka finally kicks her off. I'm like, oh, thank Jesus Christ on a
Yeah.
pole.
Yeah,
Hell yeah. Like,
Asuka made history there because she is the first women's Royal Rumble winner. The only thing I didn't like
yeah.
about that match is I didn't like how Ronda Rousey came out after that. I felt like that was disrespectful. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
sugarcoat it or anything. Like I'm just going to be straight up. I thought that was disrespectful because you're like celebrating a big moment where this is the
Hmm.
first women's Royal Rumble and you have Asuka as the winner. So you would think all of the eyes would be on her, but since Ronda was such a hot topic around the time, you have her come out right afterwards. Like, I just thought that was really weird. I don't know if that was a me thing,
Yeah.
but
No, it was because the other thing too, she didn't even challenge for a title that year.
yeah.
It was the tag match with her and Angle against Steph and Triple H, which okay, fine. I mean, it led to a fun match, and then
Mm.
everything with Ronda. Well, that's
Oh boy.
history now. That's just that was what it was.
Mm.
But yeah, so like we said at the beginning of this episode, we're gonna have a lot of Royal Rumble coverage coming out next week, so be sure to stay tuned to the channel, to all of our social media accounts. Again, all those links are going to be in the description below, like our Twitters, our Instagrams. I don't know. We don't have Facebook now. Blue Sky. All that stuff. You can find those links down below. Our handles, of course, Walk-ins MW, Drop This Box. Find us on the social medias. We're on there. Uh, same username, same ats, whatever. Be sure to check us out there and, have fun with us. Enjoy the conversation, all that. Next week, we've got, the Raw coverage. We got, me and Vash doing the sidecast along with our normal post show discussions. We got Grappling with the Week coming out next Thursday. Again, Royal Rumble special for that one. We got SmackDown coming out. Next Saturday for the Royal Rumble is going to be another sidecast with me and Vash. So be sure to stay tuned for all those. I think we're going to be on Twitch for that one. And of course, our post show, breakdown of everything, which is going to be big as well. And yeah, we'll be fully on the road to WrestleMania after next week, which is exciting, because they do have a lot of big shoes to fill after last year's build, and I'm anticipating some great things going forward. But we're just gonna take some time right now to thank you. That's right, you right there in the audience, you in the chat, you in the comments, you hitting the subscribe button and hitting the bell icon and all that fun stuff. We're gonna thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, again, social medias down below, check them out. Cool, neat, awesome. Thank you for all of that. Be sure to use the hashtag Weaves of the Ring so that way we can check out anything that you guys have to say, either before, during, or after these shows. And it's also a good way for us to see any feedback so that way we can improve ourselves and make the show even better for you guys tuning in. Weaves of the Ring is presented by Animal We Studio. Thanks again to our production team for all of the hard work that you guys put in each and every single day. And, thank you once again. And just remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys.